Hello everyone, Arman's from A-Photography here. I'm your newborn and baby photographer. I've done newborn photography since 2010, so 15 years now with newborns. Or you sit and don't move. so today I'm recording a video talking about the fussy babies. This will be helpful probably for new parents and for photographers. It is aimed more for photographers. But I'm sure if the parents are watching this, they might pick up quite a few things as well. Well, they certainly pick up quite a lot of things in the studio when I do their newborn photography, and when I work with the baby, they definitely pick up quite a lot of tips and tricks and use them after that. So I hope this video will be helpful for you. So let's dive in. Right, so I have made a little list to make sure it's kind of like a focused video and I don't go over an hour or something like that, but it could be an hour, who knows. So anyway, let's start. So number one, very simple, the reasons why a baby might be fussy. Well, to start with, it could be simply the baby just is fussy and there is nothing really we can do. I had one last week, and no matter what we did, every little move there would be just a big wah basically. So and you just need to deal with that. This is where your knowledge will gonna come and experience in a place to recognize these kind of things. That comes only with time. You won't be able probably, if you're a new photographer, you're just learning, this might be quite surprising for you, but sometimes there's just nothing you can really do. You just need to cope with it. You need to make sure that your stress levels are really low, very calm, and just work with it. Explain the clients, parents, look, we have done everything from our side, and there is nothing else what we can do. We just need to work. Every time you just will need to calm down the baby, just cuddle, rock, all those kind of things, just to get the baby in a happy place. So yes, number one, we just basically are fussy and there is nothing we can do. Number two, I'm just gonna follow my list here. Let's talk about the food. So it's quite a big subject. There's so many scenarios in terms of the food, being hungry, and what we can do. Obviously, first things first, how do you recognize that baby's hungry? And you're just gonna see the baby every time is just like trying to kind of whenever you run, for example, finger across the lips or something, you're just gonna straight away, the baby will gonna try to grab it, and you just it's pretty obvious at that point that the baby is hungry. Now, and I'll kind of like split it in two parts: bottle feeding and breastfeeding. In terms of let's start with the breastfeeding. So mom comes in, exclusively breastfeeds, and baby is hungry, but she might have fed the baby 10 minutes ago. What do you do? So and there will be a point when breastfeeding, mom will say, look, I think the baby is okay. There is either I'm sore, I can't feed anymore, what else can we do? Mom might say baby is not hungry, but you can clearly see the baby is hungry. So you have couple of solutions which you can do here. You can't get to your poses, you can't do anything. You probably have done some awake stuff at this point, but you just need to calm down the baby. So if feeding is not option, and you have and if mom is refusing to allow to use pacifier, a dummy in UK, then the only option will be your swaddling, just to get the baby in a happy place. Put the baby kind of like keep it all together, swaddle the baby, and hopefully we kind of get into some kind of a happy land, basically happy place. We are calm and nice. Now let's talk about, and we'll be talking about the dummy a little bit later, but generally with breastfed babies there is nothing much you can do. If the mom is saying no, we have no dummy, you just need to deal with the situation. That is your plan B, basically, to go for swaddling. Now let's talk about the food. Bottle feeding in a studio. and this might be quite a little bit controversial for some of you, but I always warm up a bottle in a studio, unless it came in a bottle warmer already, and a bottle is already warm. In that case, obviously, that's fine. But you know, for those parents who come in, they just have the mixture, they have a breastfed milk in a bottle out of the fridge. I always warm up that. Yes, there will be the parents who will say, oh, we never warm up the bottle. My take on that is always, and this is with experience, is loads experience and you know, testing and see how things work. I've noticed that if I give the cold milk, and room temperature, I call that a cold milk for a baby. The argument is very simple. Breastfed baby, the milk from breast is not room temperature, it's a body temperature. So that's kind of, you know, where I say to parents, look, you know, if I would leave your food out on a table in a room temperature, sitting there for 2 hours, would you be happy to eat that? You probably would say no, not really, basically. I'm not gonna eat my soup basically cold. Not very nice, isn't it? So I also have noticed if we don't warm up the bottles, babies can be a little bit, I don't want to say constipated, but they definitely have more gas. They feel a bit more uncomfortable when they have not got that, you know, warmed up bottle. Obviously, there could be also other factors like, you know, bubbles, gas, and things like that after the bottles. You know, haven't burped very well, etc., etc. But generally, I always say I want to do everything, all these things, you know, like warming up bottle, to avoid any kind of, just to score out any kind of like ifs and buts. Or you know, if I would not do it, would that make a difference? In my mind, I know I have done it. Then next part is the burping. So if I have done all these things how it should be done, you know, it should be a good result basically after that in photography and cooperation of baby. So yes, so make sure warm up the bottle. That's just all what I'll say. You know, it's entirely up to you to decide you want to, you don't want to do it. I really don't care. But you know, I have in my photography studio, I have noticed definitely that makes a difference. So that's kind of like, you know, and I always say before parents come in here, I always say don't feed the baby before you come here, you know, unless you live far away or something like that. But if you're like, you know, 20 minutes away, come here, we undress, I look at the baby, and then we feed. So let's talk about actually what happens when baby arrives right away in the studio. So first things first, I'll go to my changing station. We just do undressing, and I do a little kind of like a play with the baby. So baby would be actually, I hope you can see this. Baby would be flat, you know, on a table. Can you imagine this is a table? And I would just simply kind of like, baby most likely is awake, and I would just do a little like a hold the hands, see how they are reacting, what they are doing. I would take their feet, I would fold them up and apply a little, I hope you can see that, apply a little pressure on their tummy, kind of like, you know, do a little jiggle in their hips, kind of like a little rotation work. This normally releases some gas. We do a little bit of a farting noise, or we might just burp or something like that. So I do a little bit work, because sometimes parents have fed baby at home, they rush to the studio and they haven't really burped or done anything, and the baby, you can just see when you put the baby on the table, starts squirming, pulling the knees up, and you know at that point that they're trying to get the bubbles out. So that's kind of like what I do straight away, just to inspect, you know, baby and have a look what is what basically. I recorded a video, went home, and I realized I have not really talked about this little item. So let's talk about a dummy or pacifier. So not many parents are fan of this. Like, I don't know, very often I hear like, oh, I don't want my kid to use it, and I don't know how we're gonna get this off later, etc., etc. So I always say, look, and it's actually in my email preparation when I send it to parents as well. So this might just save your session. If baby is going totally off the rails, nothing is working, sometimes they just want to soothe themselves down, and they use, you know, if baby is breastfed, they use breast to instead of dummy to they're not really eating, but they're just soothing themselves down. So if mom is refusing to do that, you have very few options what you can do after that. This might just basically save the session. And I say to parents, I understand that you might not want to use it, but just for the sake of the shoot, which is just literally a couple of hours, and this is going to be in a baby probably whatever 20 minutes or so, basically just to soothe down, take it out, take a shot, put it back in, just to get through the shoot, you know, as quietly as possible, as stress-free as possible. This might just save your shoot. In my email I say bring it one even if you don't use one, just in case if we might need it. I have them in a studio as well. You can buy them sealed up, so they some companies sell dummies which are already sealed in a packet, so technically you just rip the packet open when a client is here. Ideally you're using one without a big plastic thing around, so when they are soothing down, yeah, when they are soothing themselves down, that it's not creating that mark around the mouth, basically. So this is the one where you could stick it in and take it out quite easily. When you take it out, you pull it back a little, let the air through, and then take it out. Don't yank it out, that would just freak out the baby. But yeah, so it's entirely up to you. This can be a little bit controversial, but you know, I say to parents, look, you know, and once they try it, especially dads, when they see that, you know, this might actually help, you know, their baby, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning when the house is just, the roof is coming off and neither of the parents know what to do, just basically just to get to that peace of mind. Anyway, but that's just in a studio. You know, what I sometimes use, not very often. I have, to be honest, I don't remember when I had to use it last time when parents didn't have one. It was long time ago. Normally parents would bring one. Some parents don't bring it and they just completely say nope, no dummies, which is fine by me. We just do whatever we can to get to the happy place. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that this is another piece of kit which could help you during the sessions if, you know, nothing else really works. If the baby really just wants to soothe down rather than, I don't know, whatever, eat or something like that. You might be, you know, thinking the baby wants to eat and you just might do that bottle one time, 2 time, or breast 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, until the baby just literally just projectiles everything back because they really don't want to eat, but they just want to soothe basically down and just to go to that sleep. Yeah, anyway, let's move on to the next point. So next things, temperature of the room. Obviously when you come to the studio you would have, you know, nice temperature in the room. I think I keep my studio around 24 Celsius, so around 24. Yeah, around 24 normally. I don't do much hotter, or maybe sometimes it creeps to 25, but I don't do warmer than that. Obviously if the room is cold, you're undressing the baby's not happy, you know, straight away we're gonna see the signs of you know, squirming and moving and, you know, kind of like pulling the shoulders up and things like that. After that, stress levels. So this probably, and I say this also to new parents, you need to really chill, basically just be calm. It's same for photographers. I don't know, for me now it's natural. I remember when I started, I would be quite, you know, like nervous because every baby is different. You don't know how they were gonna do in your studio, what they were gonna do, and babies pick up on stress, I can tell you 100% that, and they know if you are confident or you're not, and you better pick up your confidence levels pretty quickly if you want to be a newborn photographer. You know, the key is just to be calm, you know, don't basically stress about whatever the situation baby is throwing at you. Just react calmly. Same as with the parents. Generally speaking, normally in the studio, I normally do everything with baby myself, because very often new parents, every little noise baby makes, they just go like and baby picks up on that, and that doesn't help really me or them. And especially if the baby is really becoming more agitated, you know, they're holding the baby in the same position and baby's just getting more and more agitated. And normally I would say just give the baby to me, we walk around, and the baby just pretty much 99%, you know, at the time of the times they just calm down, because the energy, you know, might be very different from the parents' energy. And also baby knows, you know, they are with mom and dad and they can control them and they can do things basically to them, and they'll react on that. So for me, very experienced photographer, it's like, you know, I always say you can't trick this uncle, because this uncle will just, you know, not gonna react on any things you're throwing at him. He'll be very calm, just walk around, and you know, you can't do any tricks basically here. There'll be no stress levels, you know, and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of like picking up. The babies definitely pick up on the stress levels, and more stressed you are, they more and more agitated will become. Let's talk about some techniques how to release the gas and what to do and what not to do. Let's start from very simple things, and this is what very often I observe in the studio from parents' side of things. The parents like to hold their baby, be just like this, holding the baby. Baby is becoming a little bit like, you know, maybe there's a gas going on or something, going on, and they just keep, you know, rocking or shushing. This does not help, because number one, it's quite hard for a baby to release the gas in this position, you know, legs out flat, for example. You know, and you can try, sometimes it works, but generally I would say if they do have a gas and they don't feel comfortable, you can't calm them down in the same position. You know, you can try, but pretty much 90% I'll tell you that they're just not gonna calm down. What I normally do, I tell parents straight away, just change your positions, try to change your position. So let's go to like a basic, you know, sit-up position, hop. We're up here, and I normally cross their leggies, just like this. Push it into their tummy, and I just literally hold the baby. I let this gas to work the way down. So if there is a bubbles, normally that just shoots out, or we might have number 2 coming out or something like that. So that's what I would do first things first. So I'll tell the parents, look, you know, and this normally resolves kind of like, you know, we just simply hold it like that, you know, against your chest. I might just walk around. I normally don't recommend this to new parents, but, you know, sometimes I would just hold the hands up together. It's quite hard to do with the doll, but I would just basically, you know, do a little bit like a rocking. Still hold those leggies in. Or one leg can be dangling, like din 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 din, and just rock. So yeah, this might be nice for a thumbnail, like that. So yeah, so kind of like do something like this, but the simplest way is just like this. We are still fussy, we're still going like crazy. So okay, we're going back to basics. Let's do on a knee. Let's just do a little bit of patting. You know, I normally very rarely do kind of like patting like that. I just normally just hold them really steady, very strong, like this, and I just basically do a little like rotations. Leggies are dangling down, and I just do a little rotation with their body. Sometimes maybe I just hold steady hips and just rotate only upper part of the body. You know, if that doesn't work, I do a little bit stretch up, hold, stretch up. That very often helps. I also hold their heads quite far back. I want the straight line, you know, from tummy up, so that just releases that bubble quicker, like that. That doesn't work, then I do a little bit tapping tapping, 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 see if that works. You know, sometimes I just change a position, side, so I go other way. So my parents normally sit on that side, so you can look at the baby. So we just do a little bit again, more of the rotation. If that doesn't help, then I just sometimes put the baby literally on my knee, just like that. I still hold the head, obviously safety. The head needs to be secured all the time, arms there, and I just do a little bit rotation on my knee, just like that. Basically, legs are dangling down, blanket is on the top, and we just work a little bit like that. Back on a knee, and then, you know, just see a little bit more rotation, and then we just wait. So that's normally how I would work with the gas releases, you know. And then obviously once you have your once you have baby you know, knees into their tummy. Oh, fold legs, can't fold legs. Oh, here we go. Once the legs are into the tummy, pressed in, you know, that creates that pressure down, and that releases, you know, a little bit of a rocking. That pretty much always helps. Are you also gonna notice what baby prefers? Some babies really don't like to be on a tummy, so they want to be on a back, or they might want to be on a side. So this is, my daughter was like that. She didn't like, or she liked to be on a tummy, but sometimes it was quite tricky to do that. So I would just pop her on an arm. So that's again, change of position technique. So you either can have leggies, I don't know if it's working or not, leggies basically folded in and hold in the front, just like that. So the pressure is still applied to tummy, gas is coming through. This is actually good poop release technique as well. So you have the arm dangling over and baby is on a side. So this is, if this doesn't work in your normal holding position, baby really struggles, try to go to side. That also counts as a change of a position, because to them this is new. Oh, I'm turning, I'm doing something else. You also can do like sways, sways, and then just do a little bit like a gentle tapping, you know, or tapping on a bum. That always helps as well. So just do that. That doesn't work. Okay, we go upright. So you go through kind of 3 different positions, then you go on your knees and do stuff like that. So yeah, so that's generally how I would work on a winding. I normally try to get at least 2 burps out after the bottles for sure. I also do the burping for breastfed babies. I always will try, and pretty much always we release gases. Or moms normally say, no, you don't need to, you know, wind the breastfed baby, but I normally will do it. Yes, sometimes that could result into the fact that if baby is sleeping on mom, you're waking up baby, you know, I always say I better do this part, and then after that, if they would wake up a little bit, I would just wrap them up and just hold them and shush them and just get them back to the happy place. If none of this is working, then you have your traditional way on a shoulder. So, you know, baby is on a shoulder, pam, shush, like that. Normally, if none of this is working, I would try to do this, but generally I would transfer baby to parents. So I would say, mom or dad, you know, do you want to do this? Maybe baby just needs a little bit of parent time. So maybe they want a little bit of mommy or daddy, you know, time. So I just transfer baby to parents. They just normally sit back on the sofa and then just put the baby there, and we give a little time, you know, a little bonding time. Let's see if baby calms down, blanket on, shush, and, you know, see what happens. So you just, you know, you try all sorts of different things and just see basically whatever works, you know, because like I said, every baby is different, they'll react differently, and one of these things will gonna work for a baby. Now, so yeah, so that's kind of like in terms of the gas releases. We have talked about that. So swaddling. So sometimes the gas is done, we are fed, we're happy. Well, we're fed, gas is also released, but we're still not not happy. We're still kind of like kicking about and just being, you know, a little bit drama queens. So at that point I would say, look, you know, I would ask the parents, have you swaddled your baby before? Yes, no, didn't like it, liked it, whatever that is. I would try to swaddle baby myself as well. I would just do the traditional swaddle, very straightforward. Give me a moment, let me go and get a swaddle, and I'm gonna show you how I do it. Just realized, you probably can't see me, but I realized that parents probably don't have a wrap like this, so I'm just gonna start with a normal swaddle blanket. So this is one of mine, nice and soft, corners out, baby down. Well, I would do this on my changing table. Actually, I'll do it other way because I want as wide blanket as possible for this. So I'm doing widthwise, I'm not doing lengthwise blanket. So baby down. So, and this is what they taught me in a hospital. I don't know, I hope you can see this in my knees now. So your baby is down. So first things first, and this worked very well for my kids when I did it with these swaddling blankets. Obviously I didn't have wrap like that at studio, at home. First things first, you put the arm under their bum, and then you cross it across. This way they can't pull out this hand so easily, because you're gonna go across, other arm is out, you go across and put the corner of that blanket, edge of the blanket, under the bum. So this part becomes, it's quite hard to do on the door because we have this gap here, but for the babies normally this would be obviously all tummy here, much easier. Then after that I would take the second hand and I would roll the baby with the whole blanket and put the second hand under the bum, roll it back, and do the same thing here. At this point you can decide, actually before you start, you can decide, do you want to fold the leggies in like this, just kind of like together, and then do that, which for gas release would work pretty well. I normally do that in a studio with my normal wrap, I'll show you later. But at home you can decide you want to do this or not. So generally I would say yes, and then you just roll the baby with the whole blanket and place it under. Then you take the second hand, put it under the bum again, and do the other corner across. Now this part generally is entirely up to you. I sometimes just literally pick up the baby, roll it across, and I would hold on to the hope you can see, hold on to the corner when I did the last corner, so it doesn't release. And at this point you just basically hold the baby up. Either I probably would not do it on the back, I would just literally hold the baby like this and just walk around, or you could put it baby on the shoulder at this point, and then just walk around. So this way they're all folded together. If there's any more wind, you can just sit like that, do a little bit more rubbing, stuff like that. So that's how I did it with my kids. And then for a sleep I would just literally lay them down like that. This corner normally would be further away in under their bodies, and they can't really get their hands under the bum out. If you don't do it that way, and say you let that hand just to go on the side, that means they can easily pull it out. Their hand in a minute will be out here, and before you know it, that hand will be out here, so they can easily move it out. And you know, some babies will be okay with that. You just need to decide yourself, you know, you'll see how are they doing. If they're a little bit fussy, just bring them up, just pat, and that normally solves the issue. Some babies just don't like to be swaddled. I've seen some of those in the studio, but generally very rarely that is. Now what I do actually in a studio with myself, I do a wrap, and actually maybe parents might have it because there's many swaddle blankets now around When my kids were growing, there were not that many, and we didn't have one ourselves. So in a studio, very simple, that's what I do. I have the corner, I fold their arms up. First I lock their arms, literally just lock them down. Take the edge. My wrap is quite stretchy, that's quite important that you have that stretch, so they're locking down. I'm bringing it back. This means their shoulders now are locked down. The arms can't do anything, they can't bring them out, they can't do anything basically. Then, and I normally do this on my knees while I'm sitting, and then I take the other end, I bring it around, swaddle it around, I keep the leggies folded up. This is for that pressure in tummy to release the gas. I go around, I go one more time around. Leave those, you can leave those toes out, it's quite cute. You can still take some photos even like that. And that's how we look like basically. So your toes, leggies are folded up, and your hands are forward. I hope you can see it. That's basically how that looks like. And this way you can just walk around like that. You just need to wait till baby calms down, and you can literally lay the baby down on a posing table or in a basket or something and start literally taking photos. For this, nappy probably can be on, if it's on, because there is very high chance that something will gonna come out through that other end, and it might ruin your fancy wraps. So yes, so basically that's in terms of the swaddling and how I normally would swaddle the baby. I'll keep the baby in a swaddle, looks nice and safe. Now, what else I have on my notes? Some mum and dad time. So I mentioned already earlier, if hell breaks loose, nothing works with me, I would just transfer baby, to mum or dad, do a little bit of that cuddle time. Sometimes babies just need that moment, that little bit bonding, mum smell, dad smell, etc., etc. So, you just need to see also where your mindset is. If you're getting like really, very nervous, very stressed at this point, maybe, if you see the parents are quite nice and calm, do that transfer. Give yourself a minute to recompose yourself, think, okay, what now, what can I do, and whatever would be my next move here, whatever I would like to do in the studio, and what kind of poses I want to do, etc., etc. after that. So now, what helps you as a photographer? Well, parents too. Actually, both of these things I recommend normally to get the parents as well. So I have two things in my studio. So I have my white noise machine. So I don't know, is it working? Might need to be charged actually. So white noise machine. Shusher just makes white noise. So during the shoots, I would have that quite nearby the baby. And I have my rocket in the studio, so this basically makes my posing table to rock. But for parents, I say, this is what you attach to your pram, maybe a cot or something, just to give that little rocking basically motion. So yes, so those two things definitely, since I have introduced rocket, it has changed a lot. Sessions have become a lot easier, that's 100%. And a shusher always been here. Those of you who work with bean bags and don't have tables and I can't attach, for example, rocket. Before I used the rocket, I had one of those, I think it's called Lullaby something. It's like a flat vibrating thing. You put it under the blankets, and I used to use that one. It's a blue color. I really like that one, but I did find it's quite flimsy and it was breaking down. I think I went through three of them, because there was I noticed a loose cable connection inside, which became looser and looser, and it just disconnected, and I was just simply too lazy to have a solder hammer and just kind of like soldering all the cables back together. But yeah, so that's just kind of like a side note. But yes, there is an option for that kind of aid as well. So I think that's pretty much all what I wanted to say. I don't have anything on my my list. I hope this helps you to with your newborn sessions or with very new baby. If you're a parent watching this, you're gonna get through this. It's absolutely fine. Just need to gain a bit more confidence, you know. I don't want to say ignore all the, you know, drama and all that, but just kind of like understand, you know, we can be a little bit dramatic, and this is just a part of the game, and you just kind of need to walk around more and just to change positions, you know, and all that. So it's just a part of the experience to be a new parent. But yeah, so hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. You know, or check my channel. I have loads of videos on newborn photography. I might be doing quite a few more, but yeah, thank you very much for watching, and good luck with the parenting, and good luck with the newborn shoots. Bye bye.